Welcome to today's webinar, Nailing Your Product Launch and Go-to-Market Strategy. I'm Gabby Abubba, Growth Marketing at Atrium, and your moderator for today. Atrium is a corporate law firm and technology company providing fast, transparent, and price-predictable legal and business services to startups through our technology platform and innovative subscription-based pricing. Atrium is reinventing how professional services are delivered with a focus on improving the client experience. Founded by Justin Kahn and backed by Andreessen Horowitz, YC, General Catalyst, and more, we're trusted by over 400 of the top startups and hyper-growth companies in and outside of Silicon Valley. Now on to logistics. This webinar will be roughly 45 minutes of content and Q&A. You can submit questions at any point during the webinar on the left side of your screen. And now I'll pass it over to our speakers, Sahil and Lisa, to introduce themselves and to dive into the content.
Thanks, Gabby, and hello, everyone. My name is Sahil, and I'm a product lead at Atrium, responsible for driving the product strategy and roadmap for the client experience product team. My team helps deliver a 10x better experience for clients to receive proactive, transparent, and frictionless legal services. Prior to Atrium, I led the content product group at Course Hero, an edtech startup where I helped drive growth for user-generated content, helped launch new content products, and built a community for educators.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ross. I'm the Director of Marketing at Atrium. I've been here about a year now. In my first career, I practiced law. I was the litigator for about 7 years. After moving to the Bay Area, I really felt that stark contrast between innovation in the legal industry and what I was seeing in the tech world. Over the past 7 years, I've been fortunate enough to work for companies who are trying to bridge that gap. So I've seen some good product launches, I've seen some not so good product launches, and I'm excited to just get in a great discussion today with Sahil and share some of the things that we've learned. With that said, let's look at the agenda for today. We're going to cover a number of things. So first, we want to take a step back and really look at why do product launches fail. It's always good to start with what you want to avoid, and Sahil's going to jump into that. We also want to talk about ensuring a successful product launch. And spoiler alert, there is no way to make sure it is successful, but there's definitely some things that you can do to get you off to a good start and put some best practices in place. We'll also look at what is a go-to-market strategy and why you need one, along with what tactics you can employ. And finally, we'll get in how you measure success for your product launch and best practices for getting stakeholder alignment. And if we have time at the end, we'll handle some Q&A. But for now, I'll turn it over to Sahil.
Thanks, Lisa. A few years back, I came across a statistic from a well-known research firm that stated only 40% of developed products ever make it to market. And of those 40%, only 60% will ever generate a revenue at all. While the numbers are a bit out of date, the fact remains that successfully launching products is notoriously hard. So before we get into the specifics of how to nail your product launch and create a go-to-market strategy, let's take a step back to first understand why product launches fail. Over the course of my career, I've had my fair share of unsuccessful product launches. The most common and important reasons why product launches fail, in my experience, can be distilled down to these 5 reasons. Product doesn't solve a customer problem or doesn't have a strong value proposition. Sometimes products are launched where customers are not willing to pay money for. Other times, product is launched without a clear message, or they are launched in the wrong channels. These are mistakes I've personally made throughout my career, and while disheartening, have provided me with valuable lessons on what not to do when launching products, helping me become a better product manager. Let me give 2 examples of unsuccessful launches that I was a part of. When I started off as a PM at Sears, a retail company, I was tasked with building out a communications platform that connected in-store associates with online customers who needed help in their shopping journey. This was a big strategic project for the company, and I was super excited to work on it. We started off by building a minimum viable product, rolling it out to few stores, and training in-store associates in the process. While we received positive feedback from the in-store associates, we put little effort in validating our product with online customers. When we decided to move forward with the big launch, we were surprised to see little adoption from these customers. We made the mistake of not spending enough time validating the problem we were trying to solve for these customers, and in the process misjudged the right channel to use to target them. Instead of understanding where our customers generally shop and have questions about our products, we decided to build a mobile app riding on an ongoing trend of mobile-first product development. By starting off with a mobile app instead of building a web experience, we ended up introducing more friction for our online customers, negatively impacting the adoption of the communications platform that we were building. After years, I joined Course Hero, which is an online learning platform for students to access course-specific study resources. We had a number of user-generated content on our platform that helped students with specific questions they might have. However, in order to provide even more relevant content to help them master their classes, we embarked on a journey to create our own proprietary content. We validated the problem we were trying to solve with real users, but made the mistake of not validating the solution iteratively. Our product development cycle took a really long time, which caused us to build a solution that did not validate with customers and wasn't truly differentiated. As a result, the product didn't have a lot of adoption initially, and only after we went back to our customers and got real feedback from them were we able to improve it and provide real value, and saw that result in an adoption gain with our customers. As you might have noticed, most product launches failures don't happen during the product launch, but before the product launch. People too often subscribe to the if I build it, they will come mentality, but that often leads to failed launches. Launching a new product successfully requires getting the right product in front of the right people in the right manner, which means managing different kinds of risks such as customer, market, and product risks. My experiences and the mistakes I've made along the way have helped me identify 3 important activities that help manage those risks and contribute to a successful product launch. This is a simple mental model that has helped me with my decision making when it comes to launching products. It is by no means comprehensive or bulletproof, and should be used as a guiding framework to approach your next product launch. The first one, which is conducting customer discovery and validation, is by far the most important step, but often the most neglected. It is overlooked in favor of the if I build it, they'll come mentality. Before creating a product, you have to understand who your audience is, what their needs are, their pain points in achieving those needs, and how your product can actually help them by either satisfying those underserved needs or solving the pain points. Understanding your audience requires you to better understand the market segments you're targeting, the characteristics that determine your audience, their motivations, their fears, what they're trying to accomplish, and what is stopping them from accomplishing it. The best way to do that is getting outside and actually talking to your users or customers. You can use different frameworks like user personas, user journeys, and job stories to document and visualize your learnings. One thing to note, however, your product should not be built for everyone. Prioritize and focus on a small group of users initially who your product optimizes for to maximize your chances of success. Second piece to this step is validation. This is important to quickly and cheaply validate the need or problem that you have identified for your audience. Validating your product idea also requires you to answer a simple question. Is there really a need in the market for this? Before launching a product, you should ask your audience if they would use your product and, more importantly, if they would pay for it. There are many tactics you can use. One such example is a simple landing page with your product's value proposition to gauge how many people are interested in your product, how many of them actually understand the value proposition, and how many of them show interest in using it. All of this before actually putting any effort into creating the product itself. Building and launching products incrementally is the next step. The goal here should not be to build a final product that you launch directly without any testing or validation. Instead, you should focus on launching a product incrementally to ensure you're testing all your assumptions and potential risks that can cause your product to fail. The concept of a minimum viable product is very common. While there are variations to this concept in the form of minimum lovable product or riskiest assumption test, the underlying goal remains the same. Start small, that is, build a basic version of your product without all the bells and whistles. Test whether the version of the product you have built solves the need or problem for your audience, and if there is enough differentiation for your product to add value to your customers. Incrementally rolling out your product through a minimum viable product to just a small group of users helps you identify what works and what doesn't. Everything from the product itself to the way your landing page communicates should be tested for user feedback. It gets you valuable feedback to sort out potential problems before you officially launch your product. It also helps you test for different aspects of your product, from technical risks, pricing, and positioning to value proposition. Another benefit to having the ability to identify and enlist early adopters or evangelists who not only provide constructive feedback to improve your product, but can eventually help you promote and support your product launch. A popular approach to this is using a staged rollout. This means demonstrating strong product conviction and rigorously testing those convictions from day one as part of a alpha, beta, and general availability rollout. This helps you test all the customer, market, and product risks that we spoke about. Having said that, it can take a few product launches for product teams and product marketing teams to get comfortable with. For every team and product, the role phases tend to look a bit different. Through each phase, though, the product manager will have a more accurate forecast for having a customer-ready product. Marketing shouldn't rush product, but they do have to be transparent with the product manager about the importance of timing a product launch from a marketing perspective. I'll hand it now to Lisa, who will go into details of how you can ensure the right timing for your product launch and what it actually takes to successfully bring a product to market.
Thanks, and just want to reiterate that there is no way to actually guarantee a successful product, but certainly there are some best practices that we can go into, and so that's where I'll start. First, defining what is a go-to-market strategy and what is its goal. The goal of your go-to-market is to create a map of the intersection of your customers' problems and the solution that you're offering. So really, at its most basic, a go-to-market strategy is how you bring your product to market. Generally, from the business side, it will include a marketing plan, it will call out the target audience, and will also include a sales strategy. You've heard it before, but I guess it really can't be said enough. You must first consider your target customer. This is the validation part that Sahil was talking about. There are a ton of resources available online to walk you through identifying the personas or roles of the people you want to connect to. You'll also need to do research to understand the roles and their pain points and how your product solves those. You have to know what motivates your target audience so that you can emphasize that in your messaging. Then you figure out where to reach your audience. So again, research. And I think this is where my days as a litigator really came in handy, doing the research, knowing your audience, understanding how to be persuasive. You need to know if they're in Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups. Maybe they go to certain conferences. For us at Atrium, we know we're surrounded by our target audience of founders who need legal services. So we tried out of home, and that might work for you as well. The possibilities really are endless on where you can reach your target audience. Let's see. So again, just kind of go back to the basics. You want to deliver the right message at the right time to the right person. And again, here at Atrium, we're really lucky because we work with hundreds of founders. So when we create a product that solves a pain point that founders encounter when dealing with legal issues, we can put ourselves in their shoes and think about things from their perspective. And we're lucky because a lot of our team members are actually founders, including our CEO. And we talk to, between the growth team and our lawyers and In our customer success team, we talk to hundreds of founders each day. And once we deeply know about the pain points we're solving, that's when we can start working on messaging. We focus on both the problem or the pain that's being felt, as well as the solution, which is our product, or also in our case, could be our service. You need a go-to-market strategy so that you have a North Star and that your team members are aligned. If you start early, this really helps you identify gaps in either the product or the messaging. And remember, your go-to-market is a living, breathing document that can and should be updated as you continue to learn. So in summary, the goal of a go-to-market strategy is to create a map, like I said, to the intersection of your problems, your customers' problems and your solutions. I have an anatomy, what I think of as the anatomy of a go-to-market strategy, and it's 5 pieces. So 1, identify the customer who needs your solution the most. So this is your target audience. 2, develop the best way to talk to them. 3, figure out where to engage them. 4, define your measurement for success. And 5, evaluate and adjust as needed. Without a really defined go-to-market strategy, it's very possible that your team will be lost. You could lose valuable time if you're stalling because you're on different pages. So it's an important part of a product launch for sure. Next, I wanted to go quickly into the tactics that you can employ. And I want to kind of hit this from 2 different areas. 1, the tactics for creating a go-to-market strategy, as well as the tactics that you can employ in your go-to-market strategy. So for the first, I have a really basic template that I use in Google Slides from one of my first jobs as a product marketer. It's 7 years old, but I still use it kind of as a starting point. These type of templates to me are just really helpful in getting over the hump and getting started. They're available online from all kinds of marketing companies. I personally look at HubSpot a lot. And again, just a starting point, a basic guide. It's also easy to share with others so that you can collaborate with stakeholders, which we will talk later about the importance of that. So for me personally, my template includes identify the audience. Here, an example deliverable would be these profiles or personas that we talked about. Next is defining product positioning. And here, an example deliverable would be competitive intelligence chart, comparing your product or outlining your unique selling points. The next part for me in my template is a distribution plan, and it actually covers a number of things. Here, you want to include your messaging, any marketing materials that you think you'll need, like one-pagers, blog images, that type of stuff. You'll also want to understand your promotion strategy and get that documented, the distribution plan. Are you going to be putting this on social and amplifying it with paid advertising, or just really how are you going to get your message out there? You'll also need an engagement strategy. And finally, internal education, which is really important. We've seen that here at Atrium a number of times. When we launch product, we often launch it to our attorneys first and then our clients. So we really need alignment with everybody that's involved in these product launches. We'll touch on that again at the end of the webinar. And here, really, the deliverable might actually be a go-to-market deck or a playbook with the strategies and tactics included. Finally, you'll need the timeline and execution plan. For me, I like to create a spreadsheet with the go live date and then work backwards from there so that we can all see what will it take to get us to launch on the date that is our goal date. And finally, success measures. So that is kind of, for me, the tactics that you use in creating in the strategy itself. But what do you want to do? What kind of tactics would you want to employ in the go-to-market strategy? Well, as any good lawyer would say, it depends. It's really completely dependent on your go-to-market strategy and the distribution plan where you've identified where your target audience is. I will say that there are some basics that you should almost always certainly use. Email, for me, is one of those channels. It's essentially free. It's something almost all companies can take advantage of, whether you're B2B or B2C. It's very effective. We also implemented retargeting earlier this year, and we've seen good results. It's an easy way to stay top of mind for people whose radar you're already on, and it's also not expensive. So the tactics really will depend on where your audience is, but these are some basics that you could potentially employ as you're thinking about what to include. Sahil, back to you.
Thanks, Lisa. So Lisa touched on one component of the go-to-market strategy, which is success metrics. And I would like to kind of talk about that briefly. Let's say you conducted customer discovery, validated your assumptions, built your product incrementally, and executed a solid go-to-market strategy. How will you know that your product launch was actually successful? What metrics will you look at to evaluate success of your product? Launching a product without a clear set of metrics in mind and a basic way of tracking them is one of the biggest reasons people are unable to track the efficacy of their product launch. It also undermines all the hard work you put in. This is a mistake that I have seen and certainly made myself. Having said that, let me call out that defining success metrics for each product launch can vary widely based on multiple factors such as business needs or the product lifecycle. For example, if you're launching a new product with the goal of getting product market fit, you might want to optimize for engagement and retention first. Sometimes you might launch with the goal of increasing users on your product or platform. Other times, based on business needs, you might want to prioritize increasing revenue through your launch. Ask some of these simple questions to identify what your goals are for each product launch. Do you want as many users as possible? Do you want to increase the usage of your product? Or do you want to get to more profitability?
Great, thanks. Yeah, so let's talk about that. What are the best practices in getting stakeholder alignment? So first, best practices on rallying stakeholders. There's some basic things. You need to know who they are. I suggest holding an official kickoff. Remember to over-communicate. To me, this means meeting early and meeting often and making sure that you assign DRIs to every facet. So at Atrium, we've created a product lifecycle process. We believe a well-defined lifecycle is necessary for stakeholders across the company to understand how products are designed, built, and launched. Additionally, understanding the business impact of products is essential for everyone at the company to stay aligned. So the goal for us of our lifecycle process is improved company alignment, improved organizational velocity, and ability to manage change. So for us, the team of people that we've put together on this committee, of the product lifecycle team, consists of stakeholders from each of our functional groups. So for us, that includes product. So we have a product manager who's working on each individual product. We also have a product operations team. This was somewhat new to me at Atrium. It's like a PMM, product marketing, but it's for our internal legal team. So it is more operational within the company. We also, of course, have someone from engineering, product, and design. We have a product marketing manager on the team, someone from our legal team, since we are launching products internally to our lawyers, and then someone on our customer success team. Another thing that really helps here at Atrium is a product vision doc. This is a written document. It provides a high-level overview of the product. It explains why we're doing it, what success looks like, including metrics and timeline for impact. So it's a dense go-to-market, actually, and it really helps get people aligned in sort of a one-pager type format. We also create a Slack channel with everybody that's part of this lifecycle group so that we can, get our answers or get our questions answered really quickly and just stay in close touch. And then finally, a release plan is something that we create. This provides an approximate sequencing of how a product will be developed over the course of multiple sprints. This release plan, we share it with stakeholders, again, across those functional areas I mentioned. For us, it's legal, product ops, product marketing, account management. We do that in the Slack channel. When we do that, when we share that, we actually request comments too. So this is a period where feedback is solicited and the release plan is defined. This will undergo refinement after each sprint once the product enters sort of the last phases. The document's never frozen. The other thing I would suggest for the product manager in particular would be consider kicking off a new product introduction. And Sahil, you've shared several of these with me over the year that I've been here. It really sheds light on what it is you're building and why we're doing it. It is similar to the vision doc, but it's a much more basic intro, and it's kind of like the first step into moving forward with a product launch. Okay, so I think that actually covers everything that we have prepared, but now we would love to take some questions if there are any from the audience.